Hello and welcome, my name's Campbell and this is Autodidactic Channel, and of course autodidactic means to be self-educated, and we all need to be self-educated because if we are not, the only choice we have left is to believe what other people tell us. And today I wanted to get onto the topic of maps and the problems with maps, and do we even have a real map? So to start with, you may not know, but every single map that we have is wrong. As you can see, this says Tropic of Capricorn, and up here we'll have the Tropic of Cancer. And no doubt you're familiar with this, the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer. And these are on all the maps, even the old maps that we find, they all have the Tropics of Capricorn and Cancer on them. And this goes from old maps up to the maps that we're using today. All have the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer on them. And that is a problem. So let's get into this. We're going to talk about maps, the moon, and the possibility that the moon may in fact be a map. But first of all, I will let FlatFact explain to you the problems with our maps.
Trillions of orbiting snowballs, orbiting. A flat fact.
Now let us move forward in the sky. Let us move forward in time, moving 30 degrees, moving approximately 2,160 years to solar noon when the sun entered the Piscean constellation at the March equinox. The age of Pisces, the fish constellation. We see Pisces in the position of the March equinox. Exactly 180 degrees opposite, we have the constellation Virgo the Virgin at the September equinox. And in the solstice positions, we have at December the Sagittarius constellation, and at June, Gemini, the Twins constellation. The age of Pisces began more than 2,000 years ago. So where are the maps for the last 2,000 years showing the Tropic of Sagittarius and the Tropic of Gemini? Where is it recorded in any documents, encyclopedias, or astronomical observations pre-1900? Let's see if some maps and documentation mysteriously start appearing with these markings after this video. Still, we are not up to the current time. Let's move forward in the sky again. Let us move another 2,000 years forward. Sometime soon at solar noon at the March equinox, the sun will be in the constellation Aquarius of the Water Bearer, and every eye will see it. At the June solstice 2020, the sun was in the constellation Taurus. Taurus is already lined up. As of writing, the December solstice 2020 has not happened. Perhaps like me, you could pay attention to what constellation and exactly what degree the sun is. How to do this simply will be explained in a later chapter. So what have we learned so far? The Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer were in the age of Aries, which began some 4,000 years ago. All the cartographic maps in existence use this timeline. The latest Google Earth for Windows also shows this 4,000-year-old timeline. The age of Pisces began some 2,000 years ago, and there are no cartographic maps showing the Tropic of Sagittarius and the Tropic of Gemini in existence as of writing.
So there you go, and do make sure you go across and subscribe to FlatFact and check out her work. She really does very good work. Highly recommend it. And yeah, so how is that? Our tropics are wrong. Did you know? So the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer are from 2 ages ago. And we should have the Tropics of Taurus. And I forgot what the other one was. But yeah, all the maps are wrong. So I guess the question becomes, why? Why are the maps all wrong? Why have we got these maps that have tropics from 2 ages ago? And of course, where are the maps from today? And where are all the maps from the last age? And of course, another question is, if this is true, and we can see all these maps have the wrong tropics. Now that makes it extremely hard for navigation, because this, is this map of a world from thousands of years ago? Is the question, isn't it? Are our land masses now different to this? And if that's true, then how are they navigating? They must have maps. So where are these maps that show the last age? Of course, we've just moved into the current age, so all the maps should be getting changed again, and this should be getting taught to everyone that it's changing. So now I want to have, I'm going to put a bit of a segment in from the EWAR channel. And I've mentioned EWAR before on my farms video. So do go and check his channel out. All the links will be in the description, because he also has done some really good work, a really good series that I recommend you check out. So let's see what EWAR has to say on the maps.
These maps, and all our maps, including Google Earth, are tools of deception. Where are the maps from the age of Pisces? The maps of the last 2,000 years? And could these maps actually be over 2,000 years old? It seems like someone does not want us to know the age we reside in, or wants to distract us from finding out just how important the precession of the equinox really is. This brilliant lady's flat fact leaves us with the following conclusions. The maps, all of them, Mercator and so on, are either 1. Original maps that belong to a period that occurred thousands of years ago and have been given false dates and narratives surrounding their creation. 2. Manipulated copies and versions of original maps that were created over 2,160 years ago. Or 3. They are all fake and created during the Great Reset of the last few hundred years to generate a false history and timeline and solidify the false historical narrative and the rise of Galilean heliocentricity. Out of all of these options, the second and the third are most likely. Cartographic world maps are not easy documents to create and establish. They require a solid understanding of our Earth's size and shape. They require a thorough understanding of the circles of latitude that are integral to the workings of our world. They require a complex understanding of the continents and land masses. These maps are likely manipulated duplications of maps thousands of years old, or completely fake. And we do see signs of manipulation, especially in regard to the landmass known as Hyperborea. We see Hyperborea in various maps, of varying styles, and we are told that these are from the 16th century. But towards the 17th century, we see hyperborea start to be erased from the maps. We see unknown land masses that are present in some of these old maps vanish entirely. And then it dawned on me, the message of this flat fact. We have no trustworthy maps, not a single one. We have no reliable source to show us the bigger picture of the realm we inhabit. How to know where you are going if you don't know where you are in the first place, if you don't have a map? All historical waymarks that I had invested some degree of trust in before were now completely unreliable and questionable. How much had been edited by the controllers? How much truth was left? What if all the maps were fake? Why are they hiding the maps of the last 2,000 years? We do not have one single accurate or honest world map. And like in all moments of being lost, right before despair takes hold, an unforeseen circumstance arose that set me back on course. I stumbled through thick overgrowth and out into a moonlit clearing with a small lake. At this clearing, I met a mysterious figure named Sturgios. I told him I was lost, and he told me to come and look into the lake. He told me to watch the water. What did I see? He asked. Myself, I replied. My reflection rippling and glistening in the moonlight. Mirror, mirror, look beyond yourself, he said. What do you see? And there it was, just as it had always been. Mirror, mirror, way up high. Mirror, mirror in the sky. Mirror, mirror, oh how they lie.
And that footage of the moon and all the maps was from Vibes of Cosmos. So I'll leave the link to this below in the description as well. Do go across and have a look. He's got a lot of videos here, and he's mapped out time zones, he's mapped out flight zones for aeroplanes or flight paths, boat travel paths, just a lot of stuff. And there is a bit more to this story as well, which I'm not sure. We'll see if we get into it in this video or not. If not, I will definitely touch on it. But the astrological clocks are a big part of this, because obviously they're a clock of the, they're a representation of the sky clock, and so that's another part of this story. But really, it's where are our maps, obviously. But then, if the moon is, if there's a map up there, how did that happen? So if you go and watch those videos by EWAR Channel, he talks about, basically, see, the moon it's always been referred to as silver, and there's the whole Earth is a battery concept, and the sun is an anode and the moon is a cathode, and basically silver is what they use in photography. And here it says, silver gelatin photography, the medium that changed the world. The invention of silver gelatin-based photography as a ready-made media changed the world. It changed the world by making photography both portable and widely accessible. How is silver bromide used in photography? Silver bromide is used in photography as a component of an emulsion that develops a photographic image. Silver bromide is sensitive to light, and when suspended in gelatin, silver bromide's grains create a photographic emulsion. When exposed to light, silver bromide decomposes, and as a result it preserves a photographic image. Slightly harder than gold, univalent coinage metal with a brilliant white metallic luster that can take a high degree of polish. It has the highest electrical conductivity of all metals, even higher than copper, but its greater cost has prevented it from becoming widely used. In alchemy, silver is one of the 3 base metals often used as prime material at the inception of a work. Further, the alchemy symbol of silver is associated with the moon. As such, silver holds philosophical traits as the feminine, persuasion, as well as attributes of intuition, inner wisdom, and contemplation. So basically, in alchemy and astrology and all the sort of old world thoughts, should we say, the old world ways of thinking, the moon was always considered silver, or at the very least associated with silver. So if the moon is silver, and we use silver nitrate and byproducts of silver for photography, is it possible that the moon literally is a photograph? Has there been a photo imprinted on the moon, with the Earth being the negative? Now, if that was to happen, how would that happen? I was thinking about this, and I'm thinking you'd need a flash, because you need the light. That's how we take photos, right? You let the light in quickly, so a flash would maybe do this. And what flashes do we know of recently? Well, we have the Carrington event in 1859. The Carrington event, on the morning of September the 1st, 1859, amateur astronomer Richard Carrington ascended into the private observatory attached to his country estate outside of London. After cranking open the dome's shutter to reveal the clear blue sky, he pointed his brass telescope toward the sun and began to sketch a cluster of enormous dark spots that freckled its surface. Suddenly, Carrington spotted what he described as 2 patches of intensely bright and white light erupting from the sunspots. 5 minutes later, the fireballs vanished, but within hours their impact would be felt across the globe. That night, telegraph communications around the world began to fail. There were reports of sparks showering from telegraph machines, shocking operators and setting papers ablaze all over the planet. Colourful auroras illuminated the nighttime skies, glowing so brightly that birds began to chirp, and labourers started their daily chores, believing the sun had begun to rise. Some thought the end of the world was at hand, but Carrington's naked eyes had spotted the true cause for the bizarre happenings, a massive solar flare. And they say with the energy of 10 billion atomic bombs. The flare spewed electrified gas and subatomic particles towards the Earth. But of course we know if the sun is within the Earth system, then it would just be a big flash. And we know that, the sun and the moon aren't that far apart. So would that be an event that could maybe imprint an image, a photographic type image on the moon? And if so, then is that a map? How correct is it? I mean, if it is from the Carrington event, then, we're only looking at 150 years ago. And is this the map that they're using? Because like I said, they need maps to travel for all their trade, for their aeroplanes, all this kind of stuff. They need to know where things are to get to them. So, yeah, what do you think? Is the moon a photographic image of the Earth? And then, of course, we come to the extra land. And I find it interesting that flat Earth has been out as a concept for about 6 years, after it sort of started gaining traction, I guess. It was about 6, maybe 7 years ago that I sort of first heard it, but the discussion about more land has really only come in the last 2 years, 18 months, and it's gaining momentum. So is this knowledge that's coming into the collective consciousness? Because as we know, we've just changed age. We're basically still, I guess, in the changes, but we are in the age of Aquarius now, and we can see what's going on. So, more land. Is there more land, and how much more land? And if so, what's going on out there? Because like I said, if you watch EWAR's videos, he gets into this, and he talks about the astro clocks, the astrological clocks that we see everywhere. And when you look at these clocks, they are always off-center. They have this funny circle on them. See this, how we have a circle and we have this, there's always this smaller circle. Here it is on this map as well. So what does that represent? Here again, we have this circle. And this is the wider, this is 24 divided into 24, which is of course the true clock. It's the 12-hour clock is just halved. And this has got all the astrology, the months and everything on it. But this circle, and you can see on these are the star signs. But you can see that across here, see how big the section is for this star sign. This one's a little bit smaller, and then look at these ones. Like this one here is about a quarter, maybe a third of the size of this. What's going on there? We have, of course, lots of them that seem to have, maybe had the circle taken off, been retrofitted. But it definitely seems to be a feature, on all the older astrological clocks. I'm not sure how old this one is. It looks a bit new, but they've got it on there as well. So what is this inner circle kind of thing? They try, and I think they explain it by it's something to do with the moons and bits and pieces. But when it's on a clock, that's basically the sky clock. That's literally it's a clock. So it's it's synchronistic. It moves. It's synchronized. It has a repeatable pattern that just keeps happening. That's why it's a clock. But so why are the star signs and everything around this little circle here? Because you can see they're star signs. and then we have the sky up here, the hours and things. But what is this? You can see the sun's in there by the looks of it. So what I'll do is I'll just show you a little bit more of EWAR, because he does explain it so well, and he has a theory, and I actually have something that I'm going to add to this theory, but I do need to just get a bit more information, just on an experiment that I need, just to sort of see if I'm going in the right direction. But yeah, these clocks, obviously they're astrological clocks, but like I said, all the old ones have this off-center circle in them. And again, here you can see that the star signs here, the time allotted to the star signs is much bigger than the ones over here. Alright, so let's let EWAR explain.
It is very interesting that the Urbano-Monti map was added to the Stanford University map collection and made available to the public in 2017. The same year, the flat Earth was gaining huge traction and people were starting to wake up. It's also interesting that it has been arranged as a planisphere. The huge individual sheets of this map were originally arranged as an atlas projection, but David Ramsey purchased the map in 2016, and the team got to work scanning each sheet individually and processing them digitally to wrap around a sphere. Perhaps the release of Monti's marvelous map was an attempt to keep flat earthers thinking Hyperborea was located at the North Pole, and to perhaps bring back any that were sitting on the fence and hadn't truly woken up yet. A very subtle act of manipulation. But why would they want the flat earth community to keep fixed on Hyperborea? I have some thoughts regarding Hyperborea, but first we must turn to the clocks. Those of the old world knew. They knew exactly the type of earth they lived upon, and it's displayed for everyone to see right here in the astronomical clocks. The zodiac dial here, or what is officially known as the ecliptic dial, on the Prague astronomical clock, allegedly constructed in the 15th century, does not divide its 30-degree constellation arcs equally. It is also off-center from the map behind and appears distorted, and so many clocks of the old world present very similar ecliptic dials. But let's look a little closer at this magnificent Prague clock. As you can see, the zodiac dial contains a border that presents a series of vertical lines. These lines represent a chunk of 5 days, and each zodiac section represents a month. Those of the old world use this dial to track the seasons, the phases of the moon, and to present the date. But in a realm of perfect circles, why are 6 of the 30-degree arcs here represented within a smaller space than the other 6? They all contain 5 subsections, so why are they different? As you can see here, the Prague astronomical clock presents the land of Earth in the middle. Why does the ecliptic dial need to be bigger and off-center with the representation of Earth? The official liars of our realm, the satanic controllers, have an answer, of course. They tell us it is because the ecliptic dial is a stereographic projection. Stereographic projection is a mapping function that projects a sphere onto a plane. All maps are stereographic projections. We have no accurate maps. Wikipedia tells us that the ecliptic plane is projected onto the face of the clock, and because of the Earth's tilted angle of rotation relative to its orbital plane, it is displaced from the center and appears to be distorted. The projection point for the stereographic projection is the North Pole. In their fabricated heliocentric model, the Earth has an axial tilt of 23.4 degrees. The controllers needed to invent the axial tilt to justify the entire spherical lie, to justify the seasons, the vastly differing climates, and to justify the absolute fixed position of Polaris over the true geographic north. The reason Polaris does not appear to move, they say, is because Polaris lies nearly in direct line with the Earth's rotational axis above the North Pole, the North Celestial Pole. Polaris stands almost motionless in the sky, and all the stars of the northern sky appear to rotate around it. Remember, everything in their model is moving at incomprehensible speeds. But we can see with our own eyes that Polaris remains fixed. If they did not invent the axial tilt, or what is known as the obliquity of the ecliptic, then they would have no way to justify this in their fairyland model of orbiting planets. Polaris does not move, it remains fixed. If you are in Iceland or America, you can film a star trail of Polaris, and it remains fixed. But it is not fixed directly overhead in these locations. The only place, we are told, to observe Polaris directly overhead at a 90-degree angle is the true geographic North Pole. You know, that place where no one ventures. And that's why they invented the tilt. They tell us that Earth's true geographic North Pole is tilting directly at Polaris, and as the Earth spins on its little axis, Polaris appears to remain fixed. They tell us that the star's steadfast nature is an optical illusion, but their lies fall apart swiftly when you consider that the entire constellation system of the stars above remain constant. We always see the same stars and constellations. If Earth was spinning on its axis while orbiting the Sun, and the Sun was zooming through our galaxy, which is also moving in a bigger universe, would the precession of the equinox really be that predictable? Would the constellations of the tropic circles of latitude really appear with such consistency in union year after year at the solstice, or would it appear a bit more random? They are liars, and we all know that water does not lie. Resting water does not curve or convex. For you see, the satanic controllers are masterminds of reverse engineering. The celestial zodiac ecliptic dial is not a stereographic projection. The entire heliocentric model is reverse engineered science, and they had to start at Polaris and trace their steps back to ensure they justified its fixed, immovable position and made sure it was compatible with their globe. The Prague astronomical clock has been altered drastically over the last 200 years. It suffered fires, been restored and altered. And you can see that here in the way the projection of the Earth behind the clock has changed over time from a flat map to a bulging, unsightly sphere. But look, when you align the ecliptic dial with the map of our greater realm, then this all starts to make sense. The zodiac constellations appear distorted, despite all having 5 equal subsections, because our location is limited within a portion of the greater realm, and this governs our observational perspective of the stars. The shape of this dial has nothing to do with an axial tilt. It is designed this way to reflect our known world within this magnetic field pocket. The realm is much larger, and therefore the firmament and circumference of the fixed stars in the water beyond is much larger than the circumference of our own magnetic field. Polaris is here, above the center, and this is so important. They tell us that our magnetic North Pole is separate from what they call true geographic north. Our magnetic North Pole is moving. How can that be? Is that just another one of their lies? No, it is not. It is a half-truth. They tell us over the course of a century, the magnetic North Pole has moved from its location, just above Canada, to near Greenland, and is now en route to Siberia. It is moving fast. Why? The symbol of the swastika and the black sun offer some clues as to why. For years now, flat earthers have come to see the magnetic North Pole and geographic North Pole as synonymous, but they are not. As you know, the swastika symbolizes the vortex, but the black sun takes its symbolic message further. The central core circle here represents the iron core, the black sun, or what the fictional Mercator called the Rupes Nigra. But look closer. There is another ring outside of the central core. Remember, the black sun is the energetic core inside of the vortex. And remember also that in the heliocentric model, they acknowledge that the Earth's core is a solid iron sphere, but there also exists an outer core of molten iron liquid. They also tell us that this liquid outer core is responsible for producing our moving magnetic field and poles. This is why the pole is moving, because the magnetic field is not emanating from the solid core, but from a volatile outer core. This is what the second circle here represents. And like everything heliocentric related, all you need to do is apply common sense and flatten the curve, and things start to make sense. There is not a spherical outer core, but some kind of electromagnetic coil, perhaps even made of molten iron, surrounding the central solid core. At the core we have a vortex opening, but the actual volatile energetic source is beneath. The central core is akin to a central clock dial. It's solid and remains fixed, and everything else moves around it. But it is also the keystone responsible for this entire movement. Everything surrounding our world moves. The stars above move, the sun and the moon, and the electromagnetic outer core under us, and all the while the land itself and central solid core remain stationary. And not only does this outer core move and take our magnetic North Pole with it, but it is highly likely that it moves in accordance with the precession of the equinox, in time with the stars above as they move from their fixed positions, which means that it probably moves 30 degrees of the realm's circumference every 2,160 years. The North Magnetic Pole is slowly moving, and it is as natural as the sun and moon's concentric journey above us. And this is why the symbol of the black sun is a 12-spoked wheel. Each spoke represents a fixed constellation of the zodiac. Each section is an individual age. And the result is a situation like this. Every 2,160 years, our North Magnetic Pole circles the inner solid core and vortex by 30 degrees. This is why the pole has moved from Canada and is en route to Siberia. It is traversing the outer central circle, or what is more appropriately termed the magnetic circle. We live inside of a perfect clock, inside of God's clock. The sun and moon circle our magnetic North Pole, which is situated roughly at the center of our known world's landmass. But this magnetic North Pole circles the inner vortex and completes a full revolution every 25,920 years, or what is referred to as a great year. Each great year consists of 12 precessional or astronomical ages of 2,160 years each. We are on the cusp of entering the age of Aquarius, and this is why our magnetic North Pole is en route to Siberia, As the North Magnetic Pole circumvents the central magnetic circle, the toroidal magnetic field moves with it. The Sun and Moon are bound in their revolution by our magnetic North Pole, and because of this, they move within our magnetic toroidal field only. This is why the magnetic North Pole will always be the center of our known world. As I said before, the first image of the landmass presented in the Moon's face is likely akin to an X-ray image and has not captured any water mass. And because of this, it has only recorded the areas of our realm with high density, such as the land. In the same way, an X-ray image will capture the parts of our bodies with the highest density, like the bone, but not the blood in our veins. In a sense, it is appropriate to view the landmass captured here as skeletal, and because of this, it has not captured the water or ocean surrounding our land, nor does it display a differentiation between the frozen landmass and that which is not frozen. If the Sun's concentric journey above us is bound by the North Magnetic Pole here and its magnetic toroidal field, and this entire magnetic field is moving with the pole, then it is likely we have a situation of a changing climate as this process unfolds. All areas outside of our magnetic field will inevitably be frozen and dark due to the lack of sunlight, and this is consistent with what some of the scriptures have told us. I saw the great rivers, and I came to the great river, and to the great darkness, and went to the place where no flesh walks. I saw the mountains of the darkness of winter. This is your ice wall, and it's not a constant, fixed wall. It is continually melting and refreezing with the revolution of the pole over the course of a great year and each astronomical age. Do you now understand why they are terrified of the ice melting, of our Earth supposedly heating up, and why this demonic joke of a man wants to dim the sun? They are using natural climate change due to the rotation of the magnetic pole to justify a whole host of useless measures and money laundering. They are terrified because they are on the verge of losing all control of the narrative. We must save the precious Antarctica from melting, the last unspoiled place on Earth. But as you can see, there is no landmass for us to call Antarctica. It is a complete lie. When they refer to Antarctica, there is only the Antarctic Circle, and a lot of the footage at the so-called Antarctica could have been taken at any location around this circle. As you can also see, the land masses of South America, New Zealand and Australia all fall within close proximity to the outer edge of the greater world map, and would therefore be within close proximity to the foundations of the firmament itself. This is most likely the reason there is heavy military presence in these regions. The changing climate, the melting of the Antarctic Circle, is as natural as day and night. It is a macro process of the larger clock we live within. We have already discussed how the constellations that the sun is in during the equinox and solstice form a cross on the zodiac wheel when signaling the age and tropic designation. We'll look closer at the Prague clock again. The central dial of the clock is placed within the center of our magnetic field, and the sun and moon move within this field. Our magnetic field is off center from the overall greater realm. It isn't an even cross, but a true cross, or what is now referred to as a Latin cross or crucifix. We live within the crossbeam of the cross. And in case you hadn't noticed, our magnetic field pocket within the greater realm also forms a crescent moon. Not the type of crescent moon associated with the alchemical mercury and silver, but this kind of crescent moon. The same symbol that the controllers appropriated and redesignated to represent nobility. The cross and crescent are natural expressions inherent in the workings of the timepiece we live within. They are natural expressions of God's clock. And we got it wrong. Polaris is not situated 90 degrees above our north magnetic pole, in the region we call the Arctic, home to Greenland and Iceland. Polaris rests above the vortex at the center of the greater realm. And this is where the distinction between geographic cardinal directions and magnetic directions needs to be emphasized. When we travel across our known world, or the land within our toroidal magnetic field, we use a magnetic compass, and the magnetic pole is in the center. That's why when we travel from west to east, we go in a circle, and when we travel north, we go towards the center, and when traveling south, we move directly away from the center. However, there also exist geographic cardinal points. And what do the scriptures have to say about this? It's right there in Enoch's reference to the 4 quarters of the world. Our magnetic field, according to Enoch, lies in the geographic north of the greater realm. And the first quarter is called the east, because it is the first. And the second, the south, because the Most High will descend there. And the west quarter is named the diminished. And the fourth quarter, named the north, is divided into 3 parts. First of them is for the dwelling of men. The second contains seas of water, the abysses and forests and rivers, and darkness and clouds. And the third part, the garden of righteousness. The vortex is in the center of the realm, or what is more appropriately termed true north. The X-ray image of the land on the moon map does not display this vortex, but as discussed, it is present in the second image of the firmament. At the crown of the firmament, we see it reflected, the navel of the world. It could be that the garden of righteousness that Enoch refers to, and what is also known as Hyperborea, is located right where Sturgios has plotted it. But this land is not the true north or central vortex. That can only exist in the center. And as stated before, there is some curvilinear distortion present in the composite image on the moon's face. I have used my little colourful map here strictly for illustrative purposes. I am not a map maker, but I did attempt to smooth some of this distortion out. Let's hope Sturgios tackles the distortion. And in both my quick attempt and the actual moon map, we do see a body of land right in the center, right here. Perhaps this is the garden of righteousness, surrounding the central vortex. And perhaps Enoch's reference to it being located in our northern quarter is because it can only be accessed from within this quarter. Who knows? It is likely that the controllers deliberately put Hyperborea at the Arctic in the fraudulent maps to throw anyone of a curious and adventurous nature off track. If someone set out to find true north, using these maps, they would fail. And because of the distinction between magnetic and geographic direction, finding true north would be a monumental feat, even without their deceptions. If anyone wanted to truly journey to the center of our greater realm, they would have a very hard time, and they would need to forsake the compass altogether. If the geographic south of our magnetic field is down here, With the lands usually associated with south, then the central vortex of the greater realm falls within our geographic north. But we would not be able to reach it with the compass pointed north. It is not located at our north magnetic pole. If you use a compass to travel north, you will end up traveling here. If the South Pole is the entire Antarctic circle, then to travel to the true north, you would need to go south. But even then, this would most likely fail. If the center is made of iron, then at some point it would supersede the southern magnetic pole of our magnetic field. If by chance you were lucky to head in the direction of true north, then the compass would most likely fail altogether due to the iron core. As the mysterious text, the Inventio Fortunata, states, here the ship's compass loses its property, and no vessel with iron on board is able to get away. The only way to get to true north is by celestial navigation via Polaris, a skill set that has been generally eradicated from common knowledge. And I bet these oceans are heavily guarded. We will be returning to magnetic fields later in our journey. And we really need to reappropriate the definition of the word planet. Planet, a smaller subsection or fraction of a much larger plane. Time is ticking, viewer. You are wondering why I brought you into this dark forest. Why is all of this important? Because once upon a reset, the established timeline is a lie. We cannot begin to map our revised timeline unless we start plotting it in accordance with the greater realm we inhabit. We need to apply the astronomical clock, the ages, to get closer to some kind of clarity. We are not out of the forest yet. And can you feel it yet? The entire matrix is starting to crumble. Everything we've ever learned, everything we've ever relied upon to shape our understanding of the realm we temporarily inhabit is now unreliable. And all we are left with is our own eyes. And all we see over and over again is water always seeking its flat level. We see structural remains that those in the history books could not have built. And we see a great evil multiplying. We only have our eyes and old photographs, moments captured in time, the act of photography, the art of juxtaposition, of comparison and contrast. We are so small, our world in the mirror. Where are the maps of the age of Pisces? Where has our history gone? And what has become of us now? Are we that different to those we see in the 19th century? Look at us, desperately searching for lost time. Our boots caked in mud, our entire days spent digging through the deception. Digging and moving the mud. Frantically digging, tired and aching, but not giving up. And what do we find? The same things that our ancestors of the 19th century found. Glimmers of glory, of beauty, of pain, and wonder that remain stubbornly silent, offering no explanation for its existence or how it came to be. Old photographs and such glory. I haven't shown you just how impossible these structures are yet. The only thing these people have ever built is the lie, brick by brick. And I need to show you how they did it. Our world in the mirror, once upon a reset.
Alright guys, so what did you think of that? Like I said, go over to EWAR, check out all his the whole series. He's done a great job. All links are in the description for FlatFact as well, and Vibes of Cosmos. who's done all the moon mapping. So go check out all the channels. Lots of really good stuff there. And like I said, this is just throwing out ideas. There's been some, good research into it. This all seems to make a lot of sense. Now, what you're going to see next is going to take it a step further. And again, like I said, there's things that we can't, be sure of right now where we are, but we need to speculate. We need to put theories out, and that's what they are, guys. We're not saying anything is 100% correct or 100% wrong. We're just trying to get to the truth by throwing out ideas and getting you guys involved. The more brains we have on this, the more pieces of the puzzle, the quicker, we'll get that picture done, and we'll be able to see where we are and what's going on. So I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Thanks for spending some time with me. Like I said, I'm going to do a second video on this. I just need to get some confirmation on some information. That's a nice little poem. Some confirmation on some information. And then we'll get that up as well. So thanks for spending some time with me. Again, thank you to everyone who supports this channel in any way they can by sharing, liking, subscribing, and of course everyone who does support me through my Patreon and PayPal. I really do appreciate it, and it does help me get through and keep producing content for you guys. So love you all, stay awesome, and I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.
There have been many great resets during our realm's history, all very different in nature. We need to look at all of them. How to reset time, to wind back the clock, the death and dawn of a new age. This was not the first reset, nor is it the last. It is happening again right now. Empty cities, such quietness. There is a war going on back home, viewer, and most haven't even realized. A peculiar and irregular type of war. Silent warfare, information warfare, biological warfare. A war as old as time itself. A war between the forces of light and those of darkness. And we're caught in the middle, on the cusp of the dawning of a new age. A war for Aquarius, the water bearer. Watch the water. And for us who fell in love with the truth, and who have resisted the darkness, we've had the armor of God on now for so long. How many of your friends and family have deserted you? How many of them left you stuck in the mud? And you've remained steadfast. But it's time we took a stand and became very loud. It's time to draw the sword of truth. The blind are going to need us because nothing can stop what is coming. The legend of Aquarius, bearing Christ, bearing the truth so it can reach the masses. I will try my best to continue our journey. But as things become even darker, the lights will inevitably go out, and our journey may end here. But you have more than you know, more than you need. You've seen enough deception. Do not believe a single thing they say. We have to try and keep moving. The clock is ticking, and we don't have much time. We need to go to Siberia. There is something frozen in the ice that needs examining. Come on, it's time to address the big question. Who were the citizens of the future? And it's not what you think. The timeline is wrong, and the maps are fake. This is not the answer. No. For you see, they had a king over them, and not just any king.